Okay, welcome to my second screencast or webcast, whatever you call these things. I hope this one is a little better quality-wise than the last one. But anyway, let's dive in. So in my first video, I stepped through setting up a development environment using AWS, an EC2 instance on Ubuntu. And so hopefully if you're following along, you got that instance set up and running. And one of the things I do, I'm just going to kind of step through kind of everything. So let me share my screen. I think it's this one. And so here's my rough agenda that I'm going to do. So as I mentioned in the first screencast, the Truffle will create a default contract and deploy it. And in our case, we're using test RPC, but it'll deploy it to that test RPC environment. And we're just going to take a peek at that MetaCoin. It's just a really simple, lightweight contract, and we're just going to interact with it a little bit through the Truffle console, as well as through the browser, I hope anyway. I seem to be having some problems making that work, but we'll see what we can do. So anyway, I will put a link to this document in my guide. Nothing too magical here. I do have some pasted commands that we'll use when we're using the Truffle console. So yeah, so let me clean up my tabs a little bit. And if we go to EC2, I always shut my instance down, so just to save on cost. So I'm going to start it up. And this usually takes just a couple seconds. I hope you don't mind me stepping through this. I mean, it's funny. I know when I'm new to Ubuntu, I'm new to Truffle, and like when you don't know what you don't know, you don't always know if, like, do I need to keep test RPC running all the time? Do I need to keep Truffle console running all the time? You just don't always know. So I don't know. I figured I'd help out with just doing this. So anyway, I'm going to grab the IP address, and all I should have to do is get my SSH client. I'll drag it over here. And the only thing that has changed is the IP address. So I'm still using the same public key. I shouldn't really have to change anything else. So let me log in, accept the certificate, and there's my window. There's the crappy FTP. And let me get 2 more windows up, and I can drag this out of the way. And for whatever reason, this is just how I like to set up my windows. So anyway, on the top left window, that's where I like to run test RPC. So if I recall, that's in resources. I forget the name of it. It's live CD, live coding result in the scripts folder. And we're just gonna launch test rpc.sh. And I did something. I spelled it wrong. RPC. So this does it. So there we got our test RPC instance running, and over here I'm going to redeploy my contract, I think. So let's go into my dApps folder, and I'm just going to remove the MetaCoin. And I think that's how you do it. I'm going to say yes to that. So there, it's gone. MetaCoin. Yeah, my fat fingers, again, hard at work. All right, so there's nothing in there now. Let me pull up my document. So all we're going to do is Truffle init webpack. Yeah, I'll do this. Truffle init webpack. All right, hopefully this will only take another couple seconds. And looks like we're done. And it is giving us a little warning that, hey, it's going to set this up looking for localhost on port 8545. So I haven't quite figured out how to, what we need to do is, and I still haven't done it, figure out a way for me to configure the Truffle configuration file so that when it builds out the website, it doesn't use localhost, it uses my public IP address. And I'm not going to get into those details right now. Hopefully somebody can reply in the channel to do it. The challenge is when I issue, let me compile first. The issue is like I know the file truffle.js has an entry in there where it allows me to specify the IP address. The problem is that also controls where this is deployed. So right now I'm going to do truffle migrate, and this looks at truffle.js and says, okay, let me deploy this to localhost :8545, and that's why it goes here. And coincidentally, it's going to use the same info in here to build out the build folder. So let me deploy this with the truffle migrate. Hopefully we see some stuff on the left. That all looks good. And the last thing I need to do, and I'm going to have to look it up, is I'm still not familiar with it. So we ran, it's npm run build. So close this, paste it here. And this is like just to refresh some of what happened the last time. This just put all the files in the build folder. So let's launch our web server, php-s0:8080 is our web address. So we can see, again, I'm serving out of the build folder. And now I'm down here, Truffle console. Just for kicks, let's make sure our browser is doing what I think. So let's and there's a truck. We expect this because I never fixed that IP address. So let's fix that. And I'm going to know real quick if I'm able to get past this. I am still perplexed why I'm having such trouble. So let me go into my dApps, MetaCoin build folder, and sudo nano app.js, and I'm going to Control W and look for localhost. So this is the line all I should have to do is change this one line, localhost, to my IP address that is my Ubuntu instance at Amazon. So it's 54. This should do it. So let me do Control O to save it, Control Z to exit out. And the web server is still serving this stuff. So if I come back to my web browser and refresh, I'm hoping that error message. I can tell something's not right because this should say you have 1000 meta. So let me do a hard refresh, and I'm still having problems. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. I'm probably just going to cut this screencast short because I had these same problems last night, and I candidly don't know why it's not working. I think I might have. I'm going to try one other thing. I'm going to remigrate it. And my hunch is that, and I don't think this is the case. Like when I stop and restart test RPC doesn't know the state of the prior time it was used. I don't believe anyway. But this is the third or fourth time I've deployed MetaCoin to test RPC. And I just kind of have a hunch that maybe there's some odd dependency in there. So I just redeployed that to Truffle or I'm sorry, test RPC. And if I come back to my browser, I don't think I should have to do npm build. But let's just give it a shot and see if that fixed it. And then you guys can tuck a tuck one more away. Let me do. Yeah, it's still not going. So, and lastly, let's try that npm build. I can close this for giggles. Showing my true colors right here. What was it? npm build. Is that right? I think that's right. npm run build. All right. And again, all this should be doing is putting the files in that build folder. So if I go into build and sudo nano app.js, yes, I want to edit. For W, I should be back to localhost. Just for giggles, try this one more time. So 54.227.142.51. Everything else looks okay. And let me just make sure there's nothing else. Maybe I'm doing the wrong spot. This is just a comment, so we don't have to worry about that. But, poke around for a couple more local hosts. What's this? Huh. Maybe I'm doing the wrong one. 54.227.142.51. That looks a little promising. Let me do Control O, save it, Control Z to get out. Anything fancy there. And come back to this. Nope. All right. I'm officially going to give up. You know what? I have a feeling. I installed MetaMask in this browser between when I first did the first file and this one. So let me try something else. Open up Firefox. I don't know why there'd be an interaction, but look at that. Oh man, that is frustrating. So yeah, that was fun. Candidly, I don't quite understand the interaction. I can promise you, if you're wondering what Ethereum development is like, you're witnessing it. This was my experience learning how to work on some of those contracts when I was taking a course, and it was just dependencies upon dependencies, and it's really a frustrating experience at times. So I don't know why this plugin is kind of hijacking. I don't understand the interaction there, but obviously there's something interesting there going on. So anyway, I'm happy to report. Let's do a couple things. So let me explain one thing that happened when we deployed the contract. What's the best with that? Why don't we look at the contract, and that might help us understand a few things. So let me drag this out of the way and get it set up before you look at all my other work stuff. All right. So let's look at, if I look under the, I don't think it would be, no, it's not under there. So if I look under okay, here's the MetaCoin folder that I'm using Visual Studio Code, and I use the FTP sync features to open up the folder on my Ubuntu instance. So here's the MetaCoin folder, here's the build folder. I'm going to collapse that. And if I look in the contracts, the MetaCoin contract, if you look at this, I mean, it's basic JavaScript for the most part. You can see here we have our constructor, and look what it does. It's saying, when I create this thing, now what's not apparent, this is new to me. This used to say message.sender, in which case account 0 is the thing that deployed this contract. When I ran Truffle migrate, by default, it grabs the first account, and that becomes the account owner. In this case, that's probably not how you're going to do this in real life, but in this case, that's how this is happening. And so that account owner has 10,000 MetaCoins. So I'm going to set it back to TX origin because why mess with it? But so all this function does is, okay, there's a MetaCoin. I have 10,000 of them. I can send a coin to anybody, any other address. Now my test RPC has 4 other addresses I can send stuff to. So what I should be able to do, and I'm probably going to struggle through this, I should be able to send 15 of these coins to another address, and then get the balance. If I sent 17 to another address, this thing should return 17 to that address, and I could also get the balance in Ether of that account. So really simple contract. It really doesn't do anything all that heavy. And let me move this out of the way. So, and let me do that. I'm going to send 17 to, let's not do that. I'm going to come back to this. So that was a long road to get here. But what I wanted to do is play around with the Truffle console first. Let me think of the best way to explain this. Here's what Truffle console does. So I'm going to, I think I need to be in the root of MetaCoin, just do Truffle console. And notice how the cursor changed to that little arrow. So Truffle console gives me a whole list of commands I can run against test RPC. And I'm saying test RPC, but you should be thinking if I'm connected to, if I deployed this to not test RPC, if this were running a true Geth node, if this were running a private blockchain, if this were running something else, that's what I'd be interacting against. So just because I'm using test RPC doesn't change anything. So when I do web3.eth, I'll show you a little trick. When I hit dot and hit tab, it gives me all of the properties and methods that are available to me. We're not going to go over all these. But web3.eth dot, and I'll hit tab again. Again, more properties and methods that we can execute. But if I do web3.eth.accounts, I should see my list of 5 accounts that were created in test RPC. So not surprisingly, if I scroll up, these should match these. And I do 8D, 5F, 204, 3E97, so nothing magical there. Similarly, if I wanted to see how much Ether this thing had, this account had, or actually let me step through this in a more logical way, because I did present some nice ideas in, if I can find it, my Google Doc. I just kind of stepped through some real basic stuff. So I just ran web3.eth accounts. One of the things I wanted to mention is there's a special account if I wanted to get what is called the Coinbase, so it's this account. It's the primary account on this node. If I wanted to get that address, I could get it by doing web3.eth.coinbase. And there's that first address. I could do the same thing by saying web3.eth.accounts and give it an index. Same thing. And say if I change the index, it's going to give me the next account all the way up to 4, of course. So I'll do that. Why not? So the next command we might want to run is, hey, if I wanted to know how much ether is in this address, I can't remember if we pass in a string or not, but let's do web3.eth.getBalance, and I'm going to paste in that full address. I think it wants an address, but let's see what. Oh no, awesome. So notice how it returns an object. So it returns a string. This is how much ether that. Remember how I said when TestRPC fires up, it gives a ton of ether to people. So those 8 accounts, or I'm sorry, those 5 accounts should have ether. And let's see if account 2 has any ether in it. I can't remember if it does or doesn't, but there's an easy way to find out, and it's just to paste in the address. So I do the same address. I did the same address. All right, so I'm not going to worry about that now because I want to show you an easier way of getting web3.eth.getBalance. So web.eth.getBalance, and then we'll do web3.eth.accounts. Fat fingers are working against me again, and I'll do 0. We should see the same thing we saw before. So, and now let's look at the next account. So notice how account 0 has this much ether, account 1 has this much. I'll bet the next account has a similar amount, and so on and so forth. So if I wanted to make this look a little prettier, so web3.eth. And I'll hit tab. I'm sorry, I just wanted to, yeah, there's some interesting stuff. ToString, value of, let's play around with some of those. So web3, actually, I'm just going to mouse up, get the last one. Let's see what happens when I go ToString. Yeah, isn't that kind of nice? That looks much better. So let's do it from that big ugly number. Okay. Similarly to number, returns a number. So just real quickly, we're able to interact with this contract. So, or I'm sorry, interact with basic Ethereum commands to work with the accounts that are here. I can't remember how to add accounts, but it's something like web3 dot. Let me hit tab. Personal. Is it personal? Dot. So web3 dot personal dot new account. I don't even know if. Yeah, I'm not going to try and figure this out, but we could add more accounts. When we say account, it's an address. So we could add more addresses to this system or to our test RPC. But again, don't think test RPC is anything special. Like Truffle doesn't know this is a test environment. As far as Truffle's concerned, this is the Ethereum blockchain. The good news is this is super quick. So that's why when I run Truffle get balance, it's instantaneous. And some of these other commands we're going to get to, at least I hope we get to, they'll happen quickly too, as opposed to on a real blockchain. They might take 20 seconds to execute. So you might be wondering, how do we interact with our contract? So the way I guess maybe Truffle or it's more or less Ethereum or the command structure that makes all this happen is Web3. I guess it's this Web3 library. I think if we go MetaCoin.deployed, it should return an object of our contract. So this is telling us our object. Notice how if I study this a little bit, it's giving me the metadata of this contract. So I can see get balance at ETH, send coin, get balance. So that's how we interact, or that's how we know this contract is deployed. And here's the address it's deployed at. It's possible to have multiple instances of this contract. We may deploy it for different people for different purposes, and there's ways. I can't remember how to do it. I think what you do is var meta, or I'll do instance equals meta coin dot void. I think it's at address. Let me paste. This probably isn't going to work, but and I'm being sloppy. I'm kind of winging it, so I'm not going to worry about that. So what I'm going to do is just say var instance equals metacoin dot deployed, and I believe that gives me a pointer to my contract, and it does the same thing. So let's try instance dot get balance. That was you see get balance. This is the MetaCoin. Okay, this isn't Ether get balance. I'm hoping I run this and I see 1,000. So what I want to do is I want to pass it web3.eth.accounts.0. I hope this works, and it's not going to work. Let me just kick around some thoughts here for a second. And I'm going to try one more thing. Var result to, and now we'll do instance dot get balance. Oops. Balance dot call web3.eth.base then function result. No, I don't want to. I'm just going to do a, and we'll say result equals a. Let me balance. Result equals balance. So I'm going to assign this is going to retrieve the balance. I don't know if this is going to do it either. Yeah, I'm a little too rusty. I'll have to dust off my my skills here. What I really wanted to showcase in this is basic interactions. Like show the setup of this one more time, and then exercise some basic commands to interact with the Web3 properties and methods. So more importantly, what I wanted to show you is Truffle console. Again, remember we were looking at accounts. Web3, I got to do ETH. Accounts. Web3.eth.accounts. Do I got to do that? Oh, nothing's working. There we go. All right. So again, and we could step through some of that. So here's what's interesting. Remember how when I'm going to Control Z out of this, and if I go into build, and if I look at sudo nano app.js, let me see if I can find. Let me do it. Control W on Web3. So Web3 is in this file. Oops, Control Z. So I'm going to get out. So what I want to point out is the same toolkit we're using in Truffle console, we're using in the browser. So when I go to my browser, and I do not use Firefox ever, hopefully I can't imagine it's going to be difficult to work with. Yeah, this is telling me no Web3 is detected. So falling back. This is working though. Like, let me try something down here. It's telling me it's still there's still something funny going on with it not being able to find. I wonder if let's do one more thing. Let's find some more instances of localhost colon. So that's just a comment. Oops, I do that all the time, don't I? All right, that's just a comment. How do I do next? I bet it's W localhost. Let's change this one as well. And we're going to change it to 54.142.51. And do Control W again. That one, Control W again. And again, that's just a comment. So I think we're good. Control O. Save it. Control Z to get out. And let's come back here and refresh. Let's see. Yeah, no Web3 is detected. Consider switching to MetaMask for development. So yeah, perhaps I will be reading this document right here for my next webinar. So there's still something, it's like it's so close. The fact that this is working here, I should be able to issue more or less the same commands down here. You can see even the type ahead is working. Synchronous, yeah, that's not biggie. That's not it. Look at that. Okay, so it is working. We just got our accounts back. I'm just being stupid. So same sort of thing, web3.eth.getBalance. And I'll pass it web3.eth.accounts, and we'll do one dot to number, sure. So again, my convoluted way of showing this to you was merely to show you that Web3 is the same in Truffle console as it is here. And I'm really disappointed in myself that I can't find a way to interact with this in a better way. So my apologies for that. Let me just again, if you don't mind, let me just poke around a little bit more before I let you all go. And if we look back in, actually, why am I doing it there when I can do it here? This is so much prettier. If I go into the build folder, into the app.js, and scroll, at least this is the way it was in Truffle 2. The actual interactions of working with the contract were at the bottom. So I'm starting to see some of the commands. See how ETH send transaction. That's kind of interesting. Let's see if we see any functions in here that look. In fact, I should see get balance. Control F. So let me look for get balance. And I don't care about that one. Here we go. So for whatever reason, somewhere tucked in the middle of this gigantic file, we have var MetaCoin equals, this is all the stuff that gives it a pointer to the instance again in our test RPC, but for all intents and purposes, that's the Ethereum blockchain. So MetaCoin for the rest of this is the thing that again is bound to that 8545. So that's the thing. We were able to access the contract on, again, test RPC, but really think of it as the blockchain. So window.app, let's see what this is doing. We set the providers. So I bet if I looked in here, I'd find my magic bullet that says, hey, this is where your localhost is being set. I'm not going to worry about that now. Notice how it's getting all the accounts, and it stores the accounts in a global variable for the accounts. That's kind of nice. I'm not going to worry about set status. Refresh balance. Let's see. So same sort of thing. So MetaCoin. Okay. So notice how you need to promisify the command. So that's how I would have had to set a local variable to the instance. Okay. So MetaCoin.deployed. And it returns an instance, and that allows me to have a working variable here. That's what I should have done. And then I could have done something as simple as metacoin.getbalance.call. Oh, that's what I got to do. Yeah, so let's do some of this, if you don't mind. So let's Control Z. I screwed that up. I'm just going to do this one at a time. It not work out well, but why not? The rest of this hasn't gone so well either. So let me, and that equals instance, and then let me close this and close this and do that. So what I want to do is var meta, and I can paste this in. So metacoin.deployed. It's going to return the instance, and I'm going to say meta equals instance. And that did not work. MetaCoin is not defined. So, was it window app? Is that it? I don't know. I'm probably getting ahead of myself. Window.app. MetaCoin. I'll just do this. I don't think I have all this other stuff in there. All right. I would love to be able to just demonstrate one piece of this, and I'm frustrating myself that I can't seem to do it. MetaCoin. Let me just post it, if you don't mind, bear with me. I'm just going to think through some of these lines here. MetaCoin, what? There's MetaCoin. I'm gonna try. Let me go back to Truffle console. Or you know what? I'm gonna show you the greatest little secret. And in fact, I could show it to you in Visual Studio Code. I'm doing things the long, hard way. One of the best features about Truffle that I didn't show you is the tests. So in Truffle, we can run this test, and what test does is it executes this thing, which let's step through this. So it's running a bunch of tests that are basically working with the contract. So notice how it's doing the same sort of thing we just saw in our app.js file. So return metacoin.deployed, then we return an instance, and then we say instance.getBalance, and we do all this stuff. So I might do this in Truffle console first, because I don't have MetaCoin. I don't quite know how to get MetaCoin in the browser. But let me run. Oops, I got to go up a folder. So let's try that. So, nope, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do var instance, or no, var meta. And we'll paste this in. So then function instance, and we do this and say meta equals instance. And there we go. So now meta is our contract. So over here, what I should be able to do is call meta.balance.call accounts.0. Let's see what that gives us. Let's do this because I split my screens a little nicer, and we can hide this. That's not providing much value. Let's see what this gives us. Nothing. So I have a feeling I have to identify it. So, and do var balance and then balance would be result. And balance equals results. I'll leave it like that. Oh, all right. It's time for me to brush up on my my skills. It has been too long. My apologies for this, but if you did want to play with this, I mean, I'm going to spend the next hour dusting off how I work with this. But these are the commands right in the test file, and I had my best luck working straight in Truffle console when I was learning this, and you should be able to more or less copy line by line and paste these into Truffle console and start making stuff happen. And real quickly, you'll be able to interact with this and then eventually send meta to one account and then the other account. So you see here, this is the next test that it runs where it's doing just that. It's saying get the balance, let's send some coin, and then let's check the balances again and make sure that the balances add up. So anyway, another disaster of a screencast. My apologies if I confused you more than helped you. But I hope that the basic gist of being able to get your Truffle instance up and running and get Truffle console running and understanding how the parity between Web3 as it exists in Truffle console and Web3 as it exists in your HTML or your web folder. I hope that was helpful. I will finish this video just like I finished the last one. If you got any questions, please ask them. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be able to answer them, but I promise you I'm going to keep researching this, and hopefully I'll get better. There's always luck in video 3. So thanks. Hopefully see you around for the next one.